Hello, hello. This is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We're taking a little break from our usual budget series. We're kind of covering a bunch of counters right now in that, and I'm going to talk about some interesting commanders. So, what are interesting budget commanders? What makes an interesting commander? First of all, many commanders and tactics have become fairly mainstream. I think a lot of decks you look at, as soon as you find out what the commander is, you're like, oh, here's like 20 cards that are in the deck, for sure. And yeah, you're usually right. While still good, their builds and abilities can be fairly easy to predict. This makes the deck a bit weaker. If you know what the commander is, and you know what the cards are, you're going to know what to play against it, definitely, right? It's a very simple thing, but yeah, anyway. I think that sounded so condescending somehow. Anyway, it's a simple thing. What makes an interesting commander? So we are going to look at some commanders you can build with unusual abilities that may change how a normal deck is built or be difficult to predict. I think these are also a lot more fun. I think there is definitely like, there you go, my back sucks. But anyway, these are probably a bit more challenging to build as well. So I think if someone enjoys just like kind of the kind of mental exercise of building a deck around something, these would be great to do. But anyway, all right. Number 5. All right. Lind, Cheerful Tormentor. This is one I've wanted to build for a while. She is a Grixis commander, meaning blue, black, red. She is a Curse Matters commander. So again, you want lots of curses, and whenever a curse is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return to the battlefield attached to you at the beginning of the next end step. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may attach a curse attached to you to one of your opponents. If you do, draw a card. So a lot of curses actually incentivize people to attack you and things like that. So there's the downside. The upside is that even a lot of curses will give you a benefit for an opponent triggering it. So for instance, like they may get to draw a card for attacking you, but because they triggered the ability, you also get to draw a card. So it's kind of a lose-win kind of thing. But anyway, I would look for ways to flash in enchantments to curse yourself in the previous player's end step. Again, on your end step, or the beginning of your upkeep, if a curse is attached to you, you can move it to someone else, right? So yeah, that is quite useful. That is something where, like, again, you do need a little more setup, but it is very powerful. And 168. So one of the main things is that if people get cursed, they're going to be using resources like, destroying an enchantment to get rid of the curse on themselves. Then it goes to your graveyard, and then at the beginning of your next end step, you get to take it out of your graveyard and put it on yourself, and then move it after that. On your next end keep, you move it to someone else. Really, this is kind of a political thing because people don't want to have curses on them. So they can attack you to get the bonus from the curse, but you can just say, well, then you're getting cursed. And they'll go, oh, maybe I'll attack someone else then. So it's very political. I think, yeah. I really like how this one's designed. $1.68. $1.68. So let's look at some cards you might want to put in there. Okay, and I got my camera right in the way there. Bitterheart Witch. When this dies, you can search the library for a curse card and put it into the battlefield attached to target player. So once again, if this is on your battlefield and you kill it yourself on someone else's end step, just use like Doomblade it, or I guess maybe not Doomblade, but kill it somehow yourself. Then you get to search for a curse, and then you can put that curse on yourself even, right? If you want to do the like automatic moving the curse thing on your end step, or you can do it just like, yeah, put it straight on the other player. That is 20 cents. Curse of Misfortunes. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search for your library for a curse card that doesn't have the same name as a curse attached to it. Again, Commander is singleton, so you can't have multiple of the same name cards anyway, so this means nothing. This is just a tutor. Every turn you're getting it like a free tutor, basically, over and over and over and over. And this does count as an aura curse, so once you cast this, you can get it back out of your graveyard. They need to exile it for you to not keep getting stuff. And as long as it doesn't have the same name as the enchanted player, as the curse the enchanted player has, yeah. But anyway, sorry, that's what I was reading. Basically, yeah, it's, you just keep searching for curses with this curse. And that is 16 cents. And Curse of Verbosity, I think this is probably the most well-known of curses. At least to me it seems that way. But it's only 35 cents now. That's kind of the interesting part. When an enchanted player is attacked, you draw a card. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. So anytime someone gets attacked, you get to draw a card, and the person attacking gets to draw a card. This is so good because it is incentivizing everyone to attack that player. Maybe there's someone causing you trouble. Curse, 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 curse. Really, with this commander, no one wants to mess with you, I think is the main thing. Alright. Number 4. The Master Mesmerist. Okay, so this is a very weird one, I think, but I actually could not come up with a list of recommendations because there's so many different ways you could build this one. Requires he has greater power than the target of his ability. So again, he's a 3/3, and you can tap him to give a creature you don't control Skulk, and then you goad it. So basically, they have to attack someone other than you. Goad, I think, is very good. Once it gets to down to 2 players, it doesn't work anymore. It's the real downside of Goad, but it's still quite good. So yeah. Whenever a creature with Skulk deals combat damage to one of your opponents, put a +1/+1 counter on the master and draw a card. So again, you're forcing opponents to attack each other and drawing cards and getting +1/+1 counters. It's actually quite good. However, he does need more attack power. Have to have something to boost his power. His power does have to be higher. So yeah, that is the tricky part right there. Anyway, it's great to use on your opponent's commanders. If you keep, they can force them to basically sacrifice their commander by attacking over and over, or do command damage to another player, not you. Either way, very good, right? You win. 29 cents. And number 3. Hisoka Minamo Sensei. Minamo Sensei, not Minamos. I keep adding the S. I've been teaching English for 15 years. It's hard, okay? Reusable counter ability, very powerful. Requires a deck with an array of casting costs. Again, he's on my list of counter spell creatures, but yeah, anyway. What he wants is to be able to discard cards that have the same mana value as cards you're countering, right? That's how his counterspell works, or counter ability works. But anyway, Madness is actually the main thing, right? I'd recommend for that. So let's look at some Madness cards. And I've got this directly in the way again. Hey, cool. Chilling Grasp. Tap up to 2 target creatures. They don't untap during their controller's untap step. I think this is very underappreciated. Again, it does cost 3 and a blue with Madness, so that's not great. It's more expensive to cast with Madness, which is very unusual, but it is only 1 cent, right? For 1 cent, I think it's actually pretty good. Okay, and here we go. Just the Wind. Return target creature to its owner's hand, so basically unsummon. And for madness cost, it's 1. This is basically unsummon, right? It is 3 cents, and again, the casting cost on the card is what counts, right? Not the madness cost. So it's really, you're able to save some mana casting things with madness. Welcome to the Fold. See, this is, I think, is the best one. And gain control of target creature with toughness 2 or less. If Welcome to the Fold's madness cost was paid, instead, gain control of target creature if its toughness is X or less. So you're just stealing someone's creature. You do need, X plus 2 blue mana equal to their toughness, but yeah, if you can do that, you can just steal anything. Especially if you're combining this with a counter, right? You counter someone's spell and then you steal the creature. You really, maybe they're in a good position. They're going to be like, oh, all of a sudden I went from being in control of the game to being way behind in one action, basically. Number 2. All right. Alright, Zedru the Great-Hearted. So this is a group hug commander. It's a very different kind of... I haven't built a group hug. I don't really want to, but anyway. Get by giving. So again, many detrimental cards are available to give, right? Giving people things might sound like it's not a good thing, but you can actually get a lot out of that. Again, Zedru the Great-Hearted. At the beginning of your upkeep, gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of permanents you control or permanents you own that your opponents control. So basically, if your opponents have 5 of your cards, you think that's a downside, but actually what it is you get to draw 5 cards and gain 5 life at the beginning of your upkeep. So every turn, you're just going to have tons of cards, basically. And for red, white, blue, Jeskai, target opponent gains control of a permanent you control. That's actually super useful as an ability. There's, I think, the card is called Generous Gift. Off the top of my head, I believe it's 3 in a red to be able to give someone something. So this is a commander that actually has an ability that is cheaper, I think, than the card mana cost wise. It is more specific though. So anyway, 90 cents. So let's look at some cards for him. A Korin Warhorse. Again, I always have this in the wrong place. Anyway, when a Korin Warhorse enters the battlefield, opponent gains control of it and it makes tokens. Right? So everyone else gets tokens except for the person who you gave the horse to. Which I guess is a Trojan thing, but anyway, all right. 29 cents for that one. Bill Fernie, Brady Swindler. Okay, this is probably the funniest card, I think. But anyway, okay. Whenever he becomes blocked, choose 1, create a treasure token, or target opponent gains control of target horse you control. So if you have a horse, kind of horse type sub theme, you can just keep giving horses to people rather than actually losing your creature by him getting blocked. Such a weird thing to do. I love it. Horse trading. But anyway, every time you do that, you get 3 treasures also. So he's creating a lot of value by giving away horses. So yeah, anyway, I still just hilarious. Take a horse, I get 3 treasures. Also, he's removed from combat so he doesn't die. You can just keep sending him in, and I think that makes it hard for people to be like, oh, do I want him to get 3 treasures and I get some bloody horse, or and also him giving you, or you giving them horses, means they're going to have more of your cards, which means you gain more life and draw more cards. Just, funny and weird. Coveted Falcon. This is probably the main useful one. I think in this deck it's incredible. So whenever it attacks, gain control of target permanent you own but don't control. So this actually gives you a way to get things back from people, which may be useful. And it has Disguise for 1 in a blue, and when it's turned face up again, it's going to start face down for 1 in a blue, turn it face up, I believe, and yeah. You can give people any number of target permanents you control. So if you have a few things on the board you don't mind giving away, or giving to other people, or forcing them to take it, maybe is the best way to put it, you can do that, right? And then on your next upkeep, you're going to be gaining life, drawing cards, which is always good. Anyway, that is only 8 cents because, you know, it's not really a useful ability outside of like this specific deck, which number 1. All right, we're finally to number 1. Tivit, Seller of Secrets. Okay, I absolutely love this commander. It's a very unusual one for sure. It is the only vote commander I'm aware of. Okay, so using the vote mechanic is interesting and underutilized, right? It's hard for your opponents to plan against that because it is so flexible and it is group huggish while actually not being group huggish at all. Everything usually is detrimental for your opponents and beneficial to you. Very political commander. I think maybe the most political commander I've seen, and people do not know what to expect. Frankly, it's hard to know what to expect because like it's never really good. These votes are going to be the same every time. Even if you play the same cards exactly in the same order, people will vote differently, right? It won't be the same. And it's also easy to abuse the extra vote. I think maybe one of the best things on him is you get 2 votes when you have a vote instead of just 1. And for each, okay, whenever it enters the battlefield or deals combat damage to a player, each player votes evidence or bribery. If for every evidence vote, you get an investigate token. For each bribery vote, you get a treasure token. So that is just a lot of value as well. His flying ward 3 also, I would probably try to get some other evasion on him as well. But flying in ward 3 for a 6/6 is very strong. Also, Sphinxes are very underutilized. I think having a Sphinx kind of typo deck would be very useful. Anyway, it's just all easy to abuse in multiple ways. For 69 cents, crazy, but anyway, here I will. Bite of the Black Rose, 54 cents. Starting with you, each player votes for sickness or psychosis. Fun options. So if psychosis gets more votes or the vote is tied, each opponent discards 2 cards. Or if sickness gets more votes, creatures your opponents control get -2/-2 until end of turn. That's a lot. That's going to be, you know, like wiping out a whole bunch of creatures are going to die to -2/-2. Don't underestimate -2/-2. But yeah. Or forcing them to discard, which is always fun as well. 54 cents only. And once again, it seems like my computer always decides not to work during these. Council Judgment. The Minimo thing got me dropping S's. Council's Judgment. So starting with you, each player votes for a non-land permanent you don't control. So again, especially in Commander, everyone's going to be picking different things, and it can't be your stuff. It's the only real limitation. They can't touch your stuff. Exile each permanent with the most votes or tied for the most votes. Again, maybe 2 people agree that one thing should be exiled, or maybe all 3 people choose 3 different things, and then all 3 things get exiled. Definitely possible, but anyway, 49 cents. And Illusion of Choice. Oh boy, this is fun. You choose how each player votes this turn. So you get some vote cards, get some mana, cast this, and then you decide what these spells do instead of people actually getting to vote. Once again, you get 2 votes. So that's something to consider also with Council's Judgment. The odds are always stacked in your favor with 2 votes, right? So you can kind of determine which one goes first. But yeah, you always go first, unfortunately. But you can actually determine like which ones are definitely, or which one is definitely getting exiled. So yeah. Anywho, that is $1.61, probably because it's a cantrip, meaning it's a cheap spell that replaces itself, right? It's 1 blue and you draw a card on top of deciding how everyone votes. Just hilarious. Anyway, 161. And we're on to the list here. So let's take a look. Okay. Lynn, Cheerful Tormentor is 168. The Master Mesmerist is 29 cents. Hisoka Minamo Sensei, 29 cents also. That one, I feel like it's just people feel like it's a pain in the butt to use. Very undervalued. It's a weird condition. Matching the casting cost is a weird condition. That's probably why people don't like it. Ziju the Great-Hearted, 90 cents. And Tivit, Teller of Secrets, 35 cents, right? So 30, all very cheap. My budget is under $2, so yeah, these are great. Anyway, please hit like and subscribe. Alright, take it easy. See you later.